Once again, welcome to the War Room. The Komnenoi restoration is in full swing as we have destroyed the Palaiologos dynasty, we have reclaimed the Constantinople for our name for the Grand Trapezuntine Empire, and not only Constantinople, we have also reclaimed almost all of Anatolia and large swathes of the Balkans. The Trapezuntine Phoenix, the blue phoenix, rises and it will continue to soar into the skies, as in this episode we shall attempt to win the rise of the Turks situation by getting to 500 locations. And once we manage to do that, you are going to see something which is very beautiful and very disgusting at the same time. Well, I guess you guys are used to it by now. That is how every single episode in this channel goes. So, let us get conquering, because we need another 203 locations to our name before the end of this episode. But first, my usual thank you to you, my dearest viewers, and also subscribers, and especially my members. Thank you all for keeping the lights on in the war room for yet another day, and I will give my members the well-deserved shoutout at the end of this episode. But if you're not subscribed, definitely consider becoming a subscriber if you find this video helpful or entertaining, so that you get notified when new episodes and more crazy shenanigans like this appear on YouTube. So first things first, we are actually making a bit of money now. We're getting around 30 ducats a month, which to be fair is basically nothing for the year 1389, but again, this was a very rough start and we've basically been trying to save a disaster. At the same time, we are going to invest all of this money into our economy, and we are even getting acceptable amount of control and proximity in Anatolia. The Seljuk mints that we have built in Sivas are operating at peak capacity, and I believe that they're going to get us a decent amount of control all alongside the river system that is present here. And after that we will see, but for now our main priority is in coring all of these lands, and including the lands to the west, and once they have been cored we should be seeing at least a bit of economic development, a bit more wealth being created, because right now all of these are just dead, and they're dead for a very good reason, so we do not spend any additional money on the additional slider expenses that they would cost us if I did not just scorch earth all of these locations. But Anatolia will regrow, and as Anatolia regrows, so will our economic strength increase. And with the conquest of Bulgaria, we have also gained an icon, and we can actually loan this icon to get about 80 ducats, I believe, in exchange for 15 religious influence, which is a fairly nice trade-off. Let us loan it to the Principality of Kiev, and there we go, they've accepted, so we've gained a trust equilibrium and opinion with them, as well as an additional 80 ducats. That is all going to be invested into our economy. We are also going to face a small noble rebellion, but to be honest, they stand literally no chance against our 23,000 men strong levies, and of course they're all going to be destroyed very soon. In fact, I'm probably going to use this opportunity to farm up some noble satisfaction, because this was at 0% because of all the demands that we granted in parliament. So I guess this is actually going to be a plus for us, not a bad thing, as long as the rebels do not destroy any of the buildings that they have taken over. But anyways, we're going to put the rebellion down, and then it will be business as usual. Alas, although our great lord Andronikos IV did live long enough to reconquer Constantinople and retake most of the Balkans, his days are at an end. We have a new Padishah Basilios on the throne, and I believe that he will be the one to restore the Trapezuntine Empire to its former glory, as we reclaim lands across the Balkans and Egypt, and who knows, maybe even in the south of Italy. The noble rebellion was put down quite easily, but this time a new rebellion is brewing in the north by the Bulgarian patriots. Their treachery shall not go unpunished, and Bulgaria shall be put to the sword. We shall burn their crops, we shall destroy their wealth, and we shall put down this heinous rebellion at once. The Bulgarians have risen in their homelands, and assisting them is the city of Malatya, out here in the very eastern reaches of our empire, where the Turkomans have risen in support of the Bulgarians. I think this is actually a fairly nice addition in the new patch, where if you have multiple rebellions brewing and they're very close to each other, they all rise up at once. instead of just waiting their turn. So now I think some of these rebellions actually have the potential to cause you some trouble, but of course in this case they don't have any forts or anything like that, and they do not spawn forts when they actually rise up, so all is going to be well. We are just going to destroy them, and then we are going to go back to our usual schedule. And just like that, the Bulgarian rebellion shall be put down, and we are even netting a decent bit of money out of this, so I am most certainly not complaining. Now I'm going to close down all the buildings in the areas that we have reclaimed, and after that we shall prepare for war. This time not against any rebels, but quite to the contrary, against our enemies to the west. And let us rejoice, because right now all the inflation that we accrued in the early stages of this campaign has been paid off, and we can start minting again, which will add an additional 10% or so to our monthly income, and that is always going to be useful. Right now we're basically being kept afloat by war operations from Hungary and Wallachia, so I guess in the early game I think it's part of the meta, if you have a lot of levies, to simply declare wars around your neighborhood, not for the intent of getting territory, but for the intent of getting war reps, so that you can add them to your early game economy. And really, without these war operations, first from Bulgaria and Serbia and Wallachia, and later on from Hungary especially, we would probably be toast. Like, we would never have been able to get control back up in Anatolia, and we would have probably ended up in a debt spiral of some sort. Also, I'm not sure if this was the case before, but apparently researches or advances that are unique to your country only cost a base of 5 research progress to research now. So I guess it's going to be much easier, much cheaper to get a lot of these country unique advances, and especially as Byzantium you're going to get very strong advances here. So definitely go nuts with advances that are unique to you, and it's not going to cost a lot. Well, we now have a destroy enemy CB against Naples, and I'd say it is time to actually destroy them. So our war plan here is very simple. We are going to declare war on Naples, and they will probably ferry their troops over to the Balkans in order to protect their vassals Albania and Achaea. And when they do that, we are going to take out their stacks one by one using our larger forces, because obviously not all 50,000 Neapolitan men will be able to land at the same time. Once their armies have been destroyed, we're going to take our forces across the sea, and we're going to start sieging down southern Italy, and hopefully after a long period of time, southern Italy will be returned to the Byzantine fold. So, let us destroy our enemies to the west. We shall start the war by taking our Balkan levies to Albania, where they will occupy the countryside, leaving only the town of Duresh, which is fortified, and I guess at that point the Neapolitans should start arriving en masse. And in the south, the Achaeans are way too numerous for us to deal with using only our Mauryan levies, but trust me, they're going to get reinforced very soon with soldiers that are going from Trebizond itself. The Achaean armies have already been destroyed, and soon enough their lands shall be ours. In the meantime, in the north we have given a few defeats to the Albanians, and we're occupying the countryside of their small country. Now we shall await for the arrival of the Italians, and when they come, we shall give them hell. The Neapolitan navies ferrying their troops 3,000 by 3,000, sometimes bringing in more men, and I believe they're all gathering in the town of Duresh. Before they have finished gathering their forces, we must strike, and I'm going to bring all of our forces in the Balkans to the town of Kavaye, and soon Duresh shall fall. And I have no idea why the AI is acting up as usual, but the Neapolitans have decided to go east instead of sticking to Albania as they properly should have. So now I've sent most of my troops east after them, and we're going to hunt them down and destroy them, and because they have basically no supplies in these areas, they're going to get destroyed very easily. In the meantime, we are still going to try and siege the town of Duresh, and hopefully Albania will fall following the fate of Achaea. There we go, nice and easy. 5,000 Neapolitans dead, and let's see how many men they have remaining. 40,000, that is nothing. That is just, a rounding error. 4,000 of them have landed in Anatolia, of course, so we'll have to send our own troops to Anatolia to destroy them. And really, the invasion AI is just nuts. It's all over the place. Their actions make no sense. They take no heed of supply. But as long as we're winning, I don't really care. They're just going to die anyways. There we go, another 4,000 dead. So what did you gain by lending troops in Anatolia and Naples? A big huge nothing, and you're continuing to do the same thing. Oh god. They're just coming in stacks of 3-4,000, and as soon as they land they start marching, instead of like trying to gather up their forces or something like that. This makes no sense, but I guess we're winning, so again, I don't even care. We're just going to kill off all of the Neapolitans in stacks of 4,000, and then we're going to go on the offensive and occupy the defenseless soft underbelly that is Eastern Italy. A couple stack wipes later, and Naples is willing to give us basically everything we want and even more, and we're going to get a lot of war reparations from them. We're also going to annex all of HEIR and take these two locations from Albania in Epirus. This will also make us inherit Naxos as a vassal, and I'm conflicted about it to say the least, but I guess that's alright. We're not going to take any lands in Albania or southern Italy for now, because we want to be able to fight the next war in similar conditions. Basically, in the next war we will declare war, and they will probably try to land troops around Albania, where we can easily destroy them. So for now, this will do. At the same time, we also want to make sure that the land we're taking has very low wealth, so that it doesn't drag our slider expenses even further up. And Achaea is a very poor land. If we were to try and take land in Italy itself, yeah, it's much more wealthy. So obviously, taking lands in the Balkans is the way to go to reach 500 locations. So I'm going to take all of the lands here, and the money is going to provide for a huge cash injection that will allow us to build up our economy even further. And there we go, we are receiving an enormous amount of war reparations from Naples. We are receiving 28.5 ducats, which is, I believe, something like a third of our income, without the diplomacy income included, so that is definitely going to allow us to build up Anatolia, and finally we might even be able to get a decent tax base to wealth ratio. And anyways, it is September 1394. I believe in a couple of months our truce with Hungary will also end, and we are going to basically chain the wars. We're going to go from Naples to Hungary and get pretty much the same sort of war reparations from the Hungarians after this. In the meantime, I'm going to start annexing the county of Bolu, and this will give us a direct land connection between Trebizond and Constantinople, thus allowing us to finally build a local governor here, and hopefully by doing that we will be able to get at least a modicum of control over the Balkan territories. By acquiring more than 300 locations while being the leader of the Turks and the rise of the Turks situation, we also got this nice little event, classical era of the Trapezuntine Empire, and normally this is the event that turns you into an empire, but in our case we're just going to get 20 prestige, and 98 prestige is pretty damn decent, I would say. Anyways, we're also going to interact a bit more with this situation by getting a few more claims here and there, but other than that, I think we are doing fine. Luckily for us, we got the Expand Gravel Road Network Parliament issue, and of course I'm going to use this to build up our Gravel Road network. And let's go for it. I did queue up some bailiffs and other stuff, so I'm going to cancel them, and essentially we're going to put all of our resources towards trying to get a road from Trebizond first to Amasya and then to Constantinople. Our truce with Hungary is over, which means it is time for war against them, using the following true on threat CB, which was created by our vassal Transylvania. This will also bring in their Serbian allies, but really Serbia is basically a rump state at this point, so we don't even care. It is a time for war against Hungary, and of course I'm going to bring up all our levies to the border and destroy them. We're probably going to take a bunch of lands and also war reps. The war is off to a banger of a start, as the Moldavians, who are a vassal of Hungary, have come down through the eastern path and are occupying our lands. Of course, we cannot let this stand, so I'm going to meet them in battle somewhere around here, and hopefully they will be destroyed. In the meantime, we're still waiting for the Anatolian levies to arrive. Once they have gathered up around Plovdiv, we are definitely going to take the war to the Hungarians, and already our vassals are gathering up in the west, and I believe they're getting stack wiped or at least defeated heartily by the Serbs, which was definitely not part of the plan. And I have no idea why they're acting the way that they are acting, because basically all of them are supposed to have a supportive stance, and yet they're not supporting us, they're just acting out on their own whims. But I guess that's just EU5 AI. There we go, it was not the stack wipe that I was hoping for, but they still got badly bruised, and I guess they're going to go here and then go back up north, so we will pursue them with this stack. And in the meantime, I'm gathering up another stack in the center of Bulgaria, which we will use to destroy the Serbs. So here's the issue, we are winning the battles, but we cannot just get any stack wipes on the enemies, and they keep retreating and retreating. So this is going to turn into essentially a war of attrition, and we can win that war of attrition. We have a lot more troops when our vassals are accounted for, but it's still nasty, and it's probably going to take a long while before we have finally brought Hungary down to its knees. Well, I take that back, we did manage to stack wipe the Moldavians, which is lovely, and the Bosnians, what about the Bosnians? The Bosnians are also very much dead, so it just leaves the Hungarians that we have to deal with, and I'm fairly confident that we can meet them and destroy them somehow. Well, this is the critical battle, and let's see how we fare. If we manage to destroy them, yeah, that's a very quick tree. I guess we'll have to tiptoe a little. Basically, we're going to occupy some of their lands and try to get a piece out of them. We should be able to get 100% war score, and there's also a chance that we don't even need 100% war score. I'm just going to leave these locations to them, and that should give us 100% without having to occupy any more lands. Now, I'm not sure if we'll actually take all of the lands that you see here. The idea is still very much the same. We want to take low wealth land that will not raise the cost of the court expenses all that much. At the same time, you know, we want to take as many locations as possible so that we can get to 500 locations sooner than later. And I guess I'm going to tinker with the peace deal a little, see what we can get. Also, there's a chance that if we ask for all of this land, we might get a really significant coalition, and I do want a bit of a coalition in order to keep complacency down, because yeah, basically we're toast. I'm spending everything I can on diplomacy, and we're still kind of getting a decent bit of complacency. So yeah, we want a small coalition, maybe a medium-sized coalition so it doesn't dissipate quickly, but we definitely do not want half of Europe to coalition us, which would be very much untenable in the long run. Alright, I'm going to peace out Serbia first, and I'm going to get a white peace with them, because they will still remain allied to Hungary, and we will be able to attack them later on when the white peace is over, in order to drag in Hungary. That will allow us to reduce the truce timer on Hungary. Now, as for Hungary, I guess we should make peace with them sooner rather than later, but I'm still not sure about which lands to take. I guess I'll tinker with the peace deal a little and try to figure out how much land I can take before the coalition becomes too big to handle for us. And surprisingly enough, taking something like this is actually tenable, and most of this land is going to be Hungarian culture, some Transylvanians around, so we will not suffer multiple rebellions, I guess. And there are basically no forts here either, so it shouldn't be all that difficult to keep in our country just for now. And I'm going to take a bunch of war operations on top, so let's send this. There we go, and now we have a war chest of more than 1000 ducats, and we also have 376 locations. We just need another 124 to meet our target. So I'm going to stand down our levies. After that, we are probably going to declare another chain war on Athens, but it does depend a bit on the alliance structure here, because I guess Sicily is allied with Castile, and oh, actually Castile is fairly weak right now. They've lost a lot of levies fighting against Navarre and Aragon, I presume, so we should be fine. Yeah, we're definitely going to go after Sicily. As usual, there is a small hiccup, or rather two small hiccups. Number one is Aragon is actually guaranteeing Sicily. That means they'll be part of the war. Number two is Sicily has actually managed to get a union of crowns over Portugal. so Portugal is also going to be part of the war. That means we're basically going to be fighting against Athens, Sicily, and this huge Iberian coalition here minus Navarra. And honestly, I'm fine with that. It's going to take them ages to land troops in the Balkans, and by the time they get here, Athens will have fallen. More importantly, they will not be able to transport their entire army at once, so if they just transport smaller stacks like 5-10k, we should easily be able to isolate and destroy those using our own levies. So I'm not even going to be concerned about the Iberian involvement here, and we're going to declare war using the claim zone province CB that we got from the rise of the Turks situation. Also, we did get a coalition, but it's fairly small. I don't really care about these guys, but I do have concerns about what could happen once we have fully annexed Athens, and there's also a chance that we might take some lands in Sicily as well to re-establish the team of Sicily. And I guess we're going to see what happens, but for now, I really think that the coalition is not going to be an issue for us. And to the contrary, we're actually going to benefit from it since it will slowly reduce our complacency gain. We caught and destroyed the Athenians in the Isthmus of Corinth, and now we're going to go on the counteroffensive, and we'll probably siege down all 3 of their forts. In the meantime, the Iberians are here, but not quite. They do have some ships out there in the Eastern Mediterranean, but honestly they're unable to bring over any troops. The Aragonese tried to land, we basically destroyed their navies. So all is well, all is fine, but for now, if they do manage to bring over troops, that is even better for us, because it means we will be able to destroy them and farm them for additional war score. And that is exactly what is happening here. The Castilians are trying to land, but of course they get immediately stack wiped. And the Sicilians are also trying to land, it seems. So let's see, I'm going to destroy this navy here first. Lovely, we even captured some of their ships. And then I'm going to go here to try and destroy the other navy. It's only transports and we have some galleys, so we should be able to win this fight. We couldn't get there in time and they did manage to land, but that is no concern of us because we have also managed to land. And now the Aragonese troops are, there we go, going to be destroyed. Well, that was also another stack that they probably tried to land around here that got destroyed. So we are killing off a lot of their soldiers, and Aragon is already down to half of their initial strength. Sicily is also down by a couple thousand, but really we will not be able to land on the island of Sicily until they're down to only a couple or 5,000 at most. So we're just going to keep waiting for them to come at us, and when they do, we're going to destroy them. But see, now this is a problem. The Sicilians have managed to land with their entire army, and they are ravaging the countryside. Meanwhile, all of our forces are tied down, sieging down the Athenian forts. So I guess we will have to wait until the northern forts have fallen, and then we will gather our troops and go after the Sicilians. In the meantime, I'll try to spare maybe a couple of thousand troops to go after them and unoccupy the provincial capitals that they managed to take. There we go, that is just what we needed. We've managed to capture Neopatras, and of course I'm going to use this major stack here to go after the Sicilians. They'll probably try and occupy some lands over here next, and when they do, we will be there waiting for them. We managed to track them down to Neopatras, and we won. Well, the casualties are fairly egregious on both sides, but that is a victory, and now we are going to pursue them, and once we have pursued them to their final destination, we will probably be able to stack wipe them. And just like that, the Grand Sicilian army has fallen. Well, their Iberian allies still have a significant numbers of troops, but the Sicilian themselves are out of this fight, and I guess as soon as we can knock out the Iberians, Sicily will be ripe for conquest. In the meanwhile, the Iberians have managed to land some forces in Anatolia, but of course they're all going to get destroyed very soon. And already I believe Portugal is down to their last 800 men, Aragon is down to their last 1,800 men, well, they do have some regulars though, and Castile is down to their last 14,000 men, and I guess they're going to lose half of that within the next couple of months. So once these armies have been eliminated, that will leave only about 6 to 8,000 Castilians that we will have to deal with. And in the meantime, would you look at that, Naples has also declared war on Sicily. So I guess in this scenario, it's probably better for me to peace out Sicily more early on and allow them to fight against Naples using the Castilian troops rather than destroying all of their Iberian forces out here outright, because we definitely do not want Naples to become even stronger than they currently are. Yeah, they're basically far too gone for us to even have any chance of engaging with true diplomacy. So we will have to fight them. And I guess, well, there is a coalition against them. So it might be a better idea to simply try and join the coalition, assuming that we can get enough antagonism with them. And using that, we might be able to get quite a lot of land out of them, actually. Also, our road network has been extended to Amasya, and that means I'm going to plop down a local governor here. And using this local governor, we should be able to get an okay amount of proximity to the silver mine, as well as the saffron plantation, and also Amasya itself has quite a few urban buildings. Now, I'm not quite sure whether we'll keep this local governor here in the long term, but for now it's going to be an additional source of control in the central Black Sea area. And at the same time, I'm also going to start building up a navy of light ships so that we can get additional proximity throughout the Black Sea coast. Another Castilian stack has been destroyed in the Battle of Beypazarı, and I guess that leaves basically no one to fight us. The Castilians still have 5,500 men. Sicily is in shambles, they're being occupied by the Neapolitans as we speak. We might be able to jump in and maybe take a bit of land here, but it all depends on where the Neapolitan armies are right now. I'm still going to try my chances, but probably Naples is either going to fully annex Sicily or just take a big bite out of them, and Tunis will take care of the rest. And yes, Naples did take a very big bite out of Sicily, but I guess this presents an opportunity for us to take whatever lands that remain. Now, I'm not quite sure whether we would be able to get all of these lands without being coalitioned by basically half of Europe, but I guess it's definitely worth a shot. So I'm going to ferry over some troops and we'll try to avoid the Iberian navies, land over here in Saragossa, and probably take their capital Palermo. Well, luckily for us, we managed to separate peace out the Iberians, and only Sicily remains now, and that means they are going to declare an unconditional surrender at some point, and of course we will have the ability to take all of their lands. I'm not sure whether it's a good idea. The coalition is fairly okay, it's fairly bearable as it is right now, but do keep in mind that we're going to take more lands. We're probably going to fully annex Serbia and Wallachia, and also take some more chunks out of Hungary, so I'm not really sure whether fully annexing Sicily would be a good idea or not. But anyways, we'll see. Well, it turns out we can't fully annex Sicily and Athens in the same war anyways, so I guess we're just going to take Athens and maybe parts of Sicily. We're probably going to leave them with their capital and take the southeastern portions of the island, and that's not actually going to cause a lot of aggressive expansion on anyone. Naples will be pissed, but that's basically it, and Naples is going to be pissed no matter what we do, so I think we're going to be alright here. Alright, I'm going to send a piece, and we're also going to get a bunch of money out of them. So there we go. And if we look at the coalition, basically nothing has changed. Yep, basically nothing has changed. Because I guess we already have a truce with the Kingdom of Naples and also with Hungary, with Serbia, etc. So now we're just going to wait at least until the truce with Serbia has finished, and then it's going to be Balkan Wars Part 2. It is time to hold another synod, and of course we're going to re-examine our foreign policy, and we will be in defense of the faith. Now, I'm not really sure about this war score versus other religion efficiency. I think they forgot to modify this, and it's still a minus 10%, whereas now it's supposed to be 10%. So this is actually bad for you, and I hope they fix this assuming that it works in the way it is shown in this UI section here, but the speed of integration is still going to be useful, and I'm definitely going to make use of it because we're integrating with 4 of our cabinet members already, and that's going to give us a lot more integration. I was fully intending to attack Serbia at this point, but of course the game bugged out again. Even though I had broken their alliance with Georgia, they immediately re-allied each other, and I definitely don't want to deal with a two-front war, one front against Georgia, the other against Serbia, Wallachia, and Hungary. Wait, Wallachia? Huh. You know what? As soon as we're able to press claims, which is in September of this year, I think we're going to press claims on Wallachia, which will allow us to bring both them and Hungary into the war, and we should be able to either peace out Hungary or do something with them, and we will also have the entire coalition against us. So I'm not sure whether we'll be able to get 104 locations, but we can definitely get close to that, and at that point we'll just need one more war to hit our 500 location target. But of course, Wallachia is not considered to be in the Balkans. That means we will not be able to use claims on their provinces. I guess we can do this. Maybe if we sell them a location around here, they probably have a desire to conquer it. There we go. And by selling them this location, oh, we can actually get a lot of money from them, by the way. Anyways, let me first check what the war score cost on their entire country is. It's basically on the edge, so we might not be able to fully annex them. For that reason, I'm just going to sell them a single location, and that should allow us to get claims on the location that we just sold them, and then we should be able to attack them. And if you're selling locations to the AI for whatever reason, here is a neat little trick that you can use. You can open up the AI Conquer Desire map, and the AI will pay more money for locations that they desire to conquer. In this case, if I wanted to sell them a Brela, they would have paid me a lot more money than selling them somewhere around here. But at the same time, you also want to make sure that the location you're selling them ideally has the same culture and the same religion as the AI country. So I guess if we want to get them a location in the Balkans, this location, Harshova, is probably going to be our best bet because it has the same religion, it has the same culture, and the AI even desires to conquer it, although not nearly as much as its desire to conquer other locations. So I'm going to sell them at this single location, and then we're going to get claims on it, and then it is time for war against Wallachia and of course against the entire coalition. And of course, before we could declare war on Wallachia, we got hit by a Catholic zealots uprising. This is funny. So I guess we'll have to take care of the revolt first, and once they've been peaced out, we are definitely going to war against Wallachia. The Catholic revolt has been dealt with, and just in time too, we are going to wait for another 3 months and we will call our parliament, which will allow us to get larger levies, and using those, we are going to crush the Balkan coalition. It is the 7th of December 1404, and it is time for the Great Balkan War to begin. We're going to declare war on Wallachia using our claims on province CB, and this is going to bring in a huge coalition ranging from Venice to Hungary to even the Artukids and the Ayyubids. But fear not, we have more than enough men stored using the additional levies from Parliament to destroy the entire coalition, and soon enough the Balkans shall be part of our guarded domains. The war has begun, and in all honesty it's not looking good for us. The Hungarians have sallied forth and they are reoccupying the parts of the Hungarian plain that we took in the last war. The Wallachians are very strong with 11,000 men, including some regulars, and over here the Moldavians are marching south to meet with their Wallachian brethren. Meanwhile, Serbia is trying to siege down our Serbian vassals, and our armies are mostly stuck in Anatolia, but all hope is not lost. I'm using the navies to ferry our troops over from Trebizond, and hopefully soon enough we're going to have a 15,000 man strong stack around Varna, and we might be able to use them to destroy the Wallachian and Moldavian armies, after which Hungary should capitulate fairly quickly. Meanwhile, around Moria, the Venetians have also sent some troops, and we are going to try and catch up to them, These guys are regulars and they have 1000 man regular stacks, so it's definitely not going to be easy destroying them. But if we manage to do that, a large portion of the Venetian strength will have been drained, and they would not be able to assist their allies all that much in the remaining battles. Our first army has managed to gather around Varna, and I'm going to send them against the Wallachians, so here's to hoping that they do not get reinforced by the Moldavians, otherwise we might be just a little bit toast here. While the Wallachians managed to escape us, there was literally no battle, so I guess what we're going to do is we're going to go after this Hungarian stack instead, destroy them, and when we have destroyed them we should be able to do a counterattack against further Hungarian inclusions in the Hungarian plain. That is a fairly decent victory, although to be fair I was expecting a stack wipe here, so rather unfortunate. But I guess we can now go after the Serbians, and that one should definitely be a stack wipe. Turns out it wasn't. This is just so interesting. In the early game we were getting stack wipes in battles that we shouldn't, and now we're not getting stack wipes where we should be getting them, so it literally makes no sense. Paradox really cooked the battle mat with this update, I guess, but anyways, now we're going to try and destroy the Wallachians, and I guess we're not going to get a stack wipe, wink wink nudge nudge. Well, yeah, that was bad. We did not get a stack wipe and we lost so many men. And we really should not have lost all that many men, like this is basically even terrain. Although we were attacking across the Danube, so there is that. Alright, I'm going to regroup our troops just a little. And I guess we will probably have to rely on the aid of our vassals a bit more. Because right now we are not getting stack wipes, even in situations where we should be getting them. And let's see, I guess we could try and knock Serbia out of the war. They don't have any fortresses. They should capitulate easily, and we should be able to separate peace them without much fanfare. In the meantime, while we are busy fighting the war, we have managed to annex our second vassal, or is it our third vassal? I'm not really sure, Bolu. And this should give us a direct land connection to Constantinople, so finally we can build a local governor here, and finally the great city of Constantinople will go back to producing wealth for our nation. I'm going to be completely honest with you, things are not looking good for us. We managed to get stack wiped a couple of times, and really, for some reason the enemies are just too strong. So I'm going to have to do something drastic. I will have to hire some mercenaries. Mercenaries are a bit more expensive than they used to be in the new patch, but to be honest they're still fairly cheap for the benefit that you get out of them. So of course we're going to hire maybe one, maybe two mercenary bands to fight this war. And I guess if we hire something like 10,000 we should easily be able to destroy the Wallachians and then march against the Hungarians. I'm even going to grant the feudal mercenary contracts to our nobility so that we get the mercenaries on the cheap. On the downside, this does increase their estate power by quite a significant margin, but we can definitely handle that. As long as we get our mercenaries on the cheap, we can definitely figure out a way of reducing the estate power later on. The mercenaries are here. We have 14,000 Frenchmen hired from the region of Guyane, and now we're going to take them. Their first battle will be against the Serbs and the Bosnians, and let us see how they fare. Well, we are so back. The mercenaries are inflicting just the same kind of stack wipes that I was complaining about in the early game, and I guess with 14,000 of them under our banner, we are practically going to be invincible. I'm going to use them to gather up these smaller stacks remaining in this area, and then we are going to the Den of the Beast. We are going to destroy the Wallachian armies. Yeah, these guys are just overpowered. They're so strong. In fact, I probably, hired more mercenaries than was absolutely necessary, so I am feeling a slight bit of buyer's remorse, but all is fine. As long as they bring us a victory, I can afford to pay them. Yep, the Hungarian armies have been destroyed, and their vassals, the Moldavians, shall be next. I'm probably going to call back our troops here. Let's order a full retreat, and let the mercenaries take care of the enemies. Alright, the Western Front was pretty okay. We are occupying Serbia, they will be fully occupied shortly. And I guess now we're going to focus on the East. So we're going to destroy the Wallachians next. Let's see how the battle goes. Lovely. Yeah, to be fair, I was expecting higher casualties amongst these mercenaries. So right now we are pretty much underwater as far as our finances are concerned. The idea was they would die and we wouldn't have to pay them all that much, but they're not dying. In fact, the enemy army is down to 15,000 men, 9,500 of which are Volhynians, and they're just stuck here, they cannot reach us. So I don't know, we have to find a way of getting rid of these mercenaries. And I'm not sure whether the order full retreat button works in this patch. Alright, it does work, and in fact you can still spam it like this in order to reduce the number of mercenaries that you got under your banner. So we have 4,000 men left, and with them we are going to wrap up all the remaining enemy forces. Serbia has been fully occupied, and of course they're going to be fully annexed. But before that, let me show you a nice little trick. Right now, fully annexing them would give us around 180 antagonism, but as of patch 1.2, your diplomatic spending impacts your diplomatic reputation, and your diplomatic reputation impacts the amount of antagonism that you create. So now, simply by raising diplomatic spending, we are able to get only 166 antagonism out of this land. And do keep in mind that you do not need to wait for a month to do this. You can just raise your diplomatic spending, get the peace deal out, and then reduce it again. It costs you literally nothing, and you get a lot of lands for free, or rather for a reduced antagonism cost. So let us send the peace deal, and Serbia will be a thing of the past. Of course, I'm going to raise levies here immediately and use them to claim parts of Wallachia and maybe reclaim the Hungarian plain from its rightful owners, the Hungarians. The situation has stabilized somewhat. There are still quite a lot of enemy forces left in the field, but they're very small and very dispersed, so we are able to easily hunt them down and destroy them. At the same time, the sieging phase is going to take a long while. Wallachia alone has, I believe, 6 or 7 fortresses, and we still have 2 more to go before we can fully occupy the country and annex them. And in general, this is turning into a slogfest. But we have good news. Finally, we have managed to integrate all of Anatolia. And not only that, we also have cores in most of these locations, the main exceptions being those with Greek or Armenian culture, but not to worry, those will also get cored eventually. So I'm going to redirect our cabinet towards integrating some of the Balkan areas that we've taken. And to be fair, we are not going to keep all of these lands. The lands in Serbia and Hungary we are definitely going to spin off as vassals as soon as we have reached the required 500 locations. And for that we are going to annex all of Wallachia, which brings in 41 locations, and assuming we can get maybe another 30 or so from the Kingdom of Hungary and maybe some Venetian vassals, we should be good to go. We should actually have 500 locations to our name, and that should allow us to win the Rise of the Turks situation. It was a long war, it was a hard war. Our country is exhausted and on the brink of ruin, but it appears that after 7 long years of fighting, we have won. And our prize shall be immense. From Hungary we shall take these lands, essentially splitting the country in 3, and the outlying regions shall be fed to our vassals Slavonia and Transylvania in the next war. From Venice we shall take all the lands that they and their vassals possess in the Aegean, as well as the fortified city of Dubrovnik and the town that is next to it, and this will increase the number of urban locations that we have, which is another requirement to end the Rise of the Turks situation. And finally, Wallachia shall be fully annexed. And after all the peace deals are done, we now reign over an empire that truly stretches from the middle of the Carpathian Basin all the way to the great islands of Cyprus and Crete. We have more than 500 locations to our name and 53 urban locations. And although We have taken much land. The coalition against us is measly, as we have been improving diplomatic reputation and increasing our diplomatic reputation with every step of the way. And now, mere moments before our country collapses from the exhaustion and overextension of it all, comes our reward. We have won the rise of the Turks situation. We have reached even beyond the wildest ambitions and dreams of the founding father of our dynasty. Where can we go from here? And it does say that this will last forever, but trust me, it will not. In fact, our position as the leader of the Turks is very fleeting, as you will soon discover. But for now, we unlock the legacy of the Turks' government reform, which allows us to raid our religious enemies for slaves, and I believe this is the only way of getting this modifier as a Christian nation. We will get a plus 20% cultural influence, we will unlock the Eyalet division policy and the Pasha's government reform for an additional cabinet seat and crown power, and most importantly, although it is not readily apparent, our country will now, from now on, for all intents and purposes, be considered the same as the Ottomans. We have essentially inherited the Ottomans tag, and soon enough we are going to start getting events which should be unique to the Ottomans, such as, of course, the city of the world's desire, which finally allows us to move our capital to Constantinople, and in fact it will immediately core every single location in the province of Byzantium. That is, all of these locations will now become our cores. But of course there remains one final cursed thing that we must do, and for that I shall wait a bit until our country has recovered from the war. Well, it certainly took us a good long while, but I'd say that we are stable enough to do what we've been preparing to do from the first day of this campaign. You see, the Turks, in their vanity, in their arrogance, presumed that they had subsumed us. They thought for a moment that their primary culture had become dominant, that they had won the great struggle for being the true inheritor of the legacy of Rome. But oh, they were so mistaken. The Turks weren't using us, we were using the Turks. We used them to become what we detest so much. We used them to become the Ottomans, and now we have access to every single advance that the Ottomans have access to. And some of these, you know, are fairly broken, like Janissaries. We get an additional cultures capacity. In the Age of Traditions, we get this massive one that gives us plus 33% speed of integration. And after all of this, after using the Turks for our own purposes, we are going to turn the tables on them. We are going to re-embrace our Hellenic heritage, and we shall once again make our primary culture Greek. Let us add it as an accepted culture first, and then let us change our primary culture to Greek. Well, would you look at that? This allows us to form the Byzantine Empire, and of course, we are going to do exactly that, and it is going to be so glorious. There we go, my friends. The Purple Phoenix has arisen again. We have reformed the... wait, is it called Byzantine? Of course it's not called the Byzantine Empire. We have become the Basileia ton Romaion, the Empire of the Romans. And because we have taken such a convoluted route towards becoming the Roman Empire, we can actually keep every single advance that the Ottomans get. So basically they asked us, would you like to be the Byzantines or the Ottomans? And we said yes. And now not only do we get access to all the Ottoman advances and the unique government reforms that the Ottomans have, such as legacy of the Turks and the Pashas for the additional cabinet seat, we also have access to everything that the Byzantines have. We can get every single event that the Byzantines are eligible for, and we can also get every single advance that the Byzantines can research, including all of the bureaucracy related advances. We have done it again, folks. We have officially broken the game. And from this point on, we are just going to play this as a straight Byzantine game. We are going to reclaim Italy, we are going to restore the Pentarchy, we are going to do everything that you would expect the Byzantines to do. And I do have another Byzantine game coming up, and in that I'm not actually going to go the restore Rome route. We're actually going to do something very different and very much fun, and for that definitely keep an eye out on the channel. But for now, the blue phoenix has risen so much that it has become the purple phoenix, and the purple phoenix will continue to rise. Thank you all for watching, and before we go, the regular shout out to our members: Dark vs Real, MieQ123, Loghead, Monegas, Gannon Patton, Osvaldo Antonio Carmona Calde, Hunter Herring, BKA321, Esteban David, XD Death Eater, Maychard, Kozma Jaskowiak, Mel Estrada, Hagnat, Metal of Gangalt, VVS Vinicio, Camrian, Raoul Schopfer, 123456 Freak Show, and Jacob Emrich. Thank you all for your contributions, and I will see all of you, not just my members but also my dear subscribers, and you, my most esteemed viewers, once again in the war room.